Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you all for your participation here today. As believe you're all aware, this last Friday, President Biden signed a crucial executive order seeking to protect access to reproductive health care nationwide. And while I appreciate the president's efforts and the importance that his administration has placed on this issue, as we've discussed here at the hearing today, people of color, economically disadvantaged families, immigrants, and members of tribal communities have faced significant barriers to receiving adequate health care even before Roe was overturned. And those barriers will only further increase now. Now, in a country where the Black maternal mortality rate is triple that of white women, we should not be forcing anyone to carry pregnancies to term that they wish to terminate for health or other reasons, period. If we are serious about protecting lives in America, we should be ensuring that mothers across the country have every medical resource available. Anything less is simply unacceptable. My first question is for Professor Bridges, since you're from my home state of California. In your written testimony, you mentioned how the harshest effects of Dobbs will fall on Black people, Black women, Black families. Can you describe how this decision will impact the maternal mortality rate for Black women?
Absolutely. So as you've already noted, Black people with a capacity for pregnancy have a maternal mortality rate that is 3 to 4 times the rate of their white counterparts. I also think it's important to mention maternal morbidity. Severe maternal morbidity, our rates are twice that of our white counterparts, meaning that we have to undergo a life-saving intervention like mechanical ventilation, like a hysterectomy, in order to keep our lives during pregnancy, childbirth, or the postpartum period. So removing abortion access, removing the ability to safely terminate a pregnancy compels birth, which is simply more dangerous for Black people. I want to just mention that this is not inevitable. Black people don't have a gene that causes us just to die. These are social causes of these disparities of maternal mortality and morbidity, meaning that we as a society have not invested the resources that can make pregnancy, childbirth, and the postpartum period safe for Black people.
Thank you. And a question for Lieutenant Governor Stratton. Now, Respect to Illinois has taken steps to ensure that abortion remains legal for all, regardless of their background. Can you elaborate a little bit on how the elimination of abortion restrictions is essential in achieving reproductive as well as economic and racial justice?
Absolutely. Thank you, Senator, for that question. First and foremost, in addition to the conversations that we have been having about maternal mortality and the disproportionate impact on Black women in particular, I want to talk about some of the other long-lasting restrictions that we will see from the long-lasting impacts of the restrictions or bans to abortion. This includes an increased risk of intimate partner violence. We know that for pregnant people, intimate partner violence, and in fact, it's one of the leading causes of homicide. Homicide is one of the leading causes of death for those for pregnant women. We know that it will be increased health problems regardless of not just maternal mortality, but also other health issues that can exist far beyond that point of giving birth, as well as the financial and economic risks, the strain, increased evictions, increased poverty, living in long-term poverty, being in debt. Listen, I am a mother to 4 daughters, and I can tell you, for anybody who is a parent, raising a child is expensive. So to talk about forcing someone to become a parent and give birth and to carry out a pregnancy to term when that is not what that person wants, that has been stated before by Professor Bridges, is a form of violence. So people should be able to choose what's best for themselves. Politicians are not healthcare professionals. And we should be able to have that bodily autonomy to decide not just what's best for our bodies, but what's best for our futures. And maybe it's not the right time to start a family. We should be able to decide that for ourselves, as it has been for close to the last 50 years.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I know my time is limited. I'll truncate my final question if that's okay, just to ask one final question, recognizing that in the majority opinion, Justice Alito wrote that Americans need not worry about the broader implications of the right-wing majority's decision to overturn Roe. He said it's limited to this. Yet, in his concurrence to Justice Alito's opinion, Justice Thomas makes it explicitly clear that those other rights are not actually secure, and has invited the Supreme Court to take up cases to revisit other areas of what we had believed to be settled law. Professor Bridges, does the reasoning in Justice Alito's opinion striking down Roe is it possible or likely it could be applied to other areas of settled law that could go backwards on access to contraception, rights as it pertains to marriage, intimate relations, and other fundamental rights?
Absolutely. The court's protestations that it is not at all touching those cases rings very hollow. The logic of the decision, the methodology of constitutional interpretation leave all of those decisions that Justice Thomas himself highlighted open to revisiting and reversal.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.